It's a chilly winter's morning in London, and enforcement agent Ken Warby is working his patch in the north of the city. His first job today is to pay a visit to a car dealership in Walthamstow.
We're going to a place called BD Trade Sales Ltd, and it's an individual that has taken them to court for just over £4 grand.
BD Trade Sales Ltd were taken to court by a Mr. Tarsum Kainth. He bought a second-hand car which broke down on the way home and was refused a refund. The company didn't defend the case, so Mr. Kainth won a default judgment, but he's never been paid. Now, including fees, the debt's just over £5,000. Ken knows that collecting money from car dealerships can be tricky.
Different people owning different vehicles in the yard. Paperwork has to be got out and proof has to be shown. And there's usually an argument there somewhere.
What he doesn't know is that today's argument is going to involve not one, but two car dealerships.
Blue Diamond Garages, that could be the one. No, BD Trade Sales is different. Hello.
Hello.
BD Trade Sales Ltd. I'm here regarding a High Court writ of control against BD Trade Sales from a Mr. Tarsum Kainth.
Why you got the camera here? Tell the camera to move away.
The man asks our camera to leave the forecourt before telling Ken that the case against the company is in dispute.
This judgment is to be set aside, and we've already appealed for that.
It's to be set aside, is it?
No, it's already set aside.
Is it? Have you got any paperwork I can see?
Yeah.
Thank you.
The man says the judgment against BD Trade Sales has already been overturned by the courts, but when he shows Ken the paperwork, it instead seems to show their application for a set-aside hasn't yet been successful. But then he comes up with a different reason not to pay. It's not his company.
This debt is against BD Trade Sales, and he is the MD of a company called Blue Diamond.
Blue Diamond is a different garage just down the road, but there's a reason why its boss is manning the BD Trade Sales office.
They're brothers, and one owes the other one a debt.
The man says that because his brother owes him money, he's given him all the cars on the BD Trade Sales forecourt, so now they belong to Blue Diamond Garages Limited. That would mean Ken can't remove them, but he's not just going to take his word for it.
Unless they can provide money transfer proof that each vehicle on this site was sold from the defendant company to the brothers company, then we can remove the vehicles.
Inside, the man does manage to produce invoices which appear to back up his story, but for Ken, it's still not enough.
Because there are no actual bank transfers and no solicitors undertaking for one company to satisfy the debt to another company. Also, that's not around, so it all looks a little bit iffy.
The man in the office has now got hold of his brother on the phone, so Ken talks to him to try to clarify the situation.
You are the MD of BD Trade Sales Limited, are you? My instructions are to remove a vehicle or two from here to cover this debt.
The boss doesn't want to pay. He too is claiming the cars on the forecourt belong to Blue Diamond, but Ken disagrees.
Because we don't have anything in concrete from a solicitor, for example, saying that this is a bona fide debt and it needs to be paid in a certain way, we can remove vehicles. Yeah, no, I understand that, but on the basis of you saying you owe him loads of money and him saying the same, that isn't good enough. We have to have it properly documented. Yeah. That's not good enough, mate. It's not good enough. Unfortunately, you've got a stance there, I've got a stance as well. Unfortunately, we're at an impasse. I'll just make the phone call, get a transporter on its way down here, and obviously you do what you've got to do, my friend, and I've got to do what I'm instructed to by the courts. Yeah, you just said that. Thank you very much. Cheers for speaking to me.
True to his word, Ken makes a call to book a tow truck to remove cars.
If I need you in E17, how long? That's all right. I might need it, I might not.
The truck's now on standby, and Ken warns the man that if he has to call it, then there'll be extra charges. It seems to have the desired effect, as the man now says he'll try to get some money together on his brother's behalf, but not all of it.
He does have the means to pay, I'm sure he does. He's saying I can pay part and part at the end of this month, but considering the value of the vehicles here, and we're only after around £5,000, I want payment in one go. If it was a football match, it's like a 1-1 draw at the moment. You know, going into half-time, it's like 1-1. But I know we're going to come out strong in the second half and get full payment, win the game.
Later in the programme,
move that camera from me.
It all kicks off at BD Trade Sales.
Why are you coming in here and start bullying the man? What are you doing that for?
And we find out whether Ken can get the money owed.
Did I not warn you earlier that this would happen?
No.
The police would turn up, the transport would turn up, it'd be like a scene out of Beatles About, and here we are.
Sheriff Ken Warby is at a car dealer's in Walthamstow, where he's chasing a debt of £5,000. BD Trade Sales Ltd sold a car to Tarsum Khaint, and when it broke down, didn't give him a refund. Ken is dealing with the director's brother, who says he's trying to raise the money, but after a lot of waiting around, Ken has run out of patience.
I've just been kept waiting and fed a load of rubbish at the moment, saying give me 5 minutes, give me 5 minutes, I need to make a few phone calls. Nothing's happened. I'm going to phone the office now, organise a transporter to come down, remove 1 or 2 of these vehicles.
As Ken gets ready to make the call, the director's brother makes a last-ditch attempt to put on the brakes.
These assets are my assets. They are Blue Diamond Garage's assets.
Sorry, mate.
I know where you're coming from, but these are my assets. These cars,
Mate.
they can't be lifted.
But Ken's heard enough of this argument already.
Hello, Wayne. It's Ken Warby. Look, I need a transporter down in Walthamstow. If you could get down here as soon as possible. About 40 minutes. Nice one, mate. Appreciate it. Cheers. Bye.
All the stalling has cost the debtor dearly. The fees sheriff's charge is set by the government, and now that the transporter is on its way, the final bill has shot up.
£5,075 to a whopping £6,700 and counting.
But no sooner than the call is made, the boss's brother says a friend is on his way with the cash.
It is the larger amount now, unfortunately. I've called the transport, mate. It's on its way. Just left the yard.
Well, it's only been a couple of minutes, Mr.
Mate, it's not. It's been like an hour and a half since that first 5 minutes. Do you remember?
Yeah.
I did warn you. I had a coffee. We chatted. Still nothing happened. The 5 minutes became an hour and a half. Enough's enough.
Yeah, but he said that he can get you the £5,000 and...
Yeah, that's not enough now. It needs to be the full amount.
Yeah, but you just called it a few minutes ago.
It makes no difference. As soon as I tell the office they're not paying and I need a transporter, these fees go on.
Nothing can be done?
No.
The man said a friend was coming, and sure enough, one soon turns up. Only it doesn't look like this guy's in the mood to hand over any cash.
Move your camera from it.
I'm on the street.
Move your camera from it.
Oi,
Move.
oi, pal.
What do you think you can come in here and start bullying people? I'll get my people here right now. Will you come here and try to bully the man? Huh?
I'm not trying to bully
you. Come here
him.
to bully the man.
Mate, I'm not trying to bully anybody.
Pals here. Move that camera from here. Move that camera from here.
I'm on the public street. I'm on the public street.
Move away from my presence.
Ken has seen enough.
Please. Someone being physically threatening. He's just suddenly come into the car yard. I would like someone here to prevent the breach of the peace. I think they knew I was on the phone to the police and they sort of like disappeared, so I'm in the car yard on my own at the moment.
But not for long, as the men soon return.
Move that camera away from me. Move that camera away from me. Yeah, that's it. Good boy. Yes, sir. Why are you coming in here and start bullying the man? What are you doing that for? I'll get my pals here and we see who's going to bully who. If that's the way you want to do it.
Is this gentleman just told you I was bullying him?
Well, that's the approach you've come along. Oh, we're going to do that. We're going to remove cars. We're going to... Come on, mate.
Can I just ask who you are?
Khan, Mr. Khan.
Mr. Khan.
Mr. Khan.
And what involvement...
Forget that involvement. Tell him to switch that camera off, otherwise he's going to be in a lot of trouble. Tell him to switch that camera off. If you want, I can go talk to him personally. Mate, switch that off, otherwise I'll take that off you. I'll take that off you.
Mate, you won't be doing that.
No, don't tell me that.
Just as the situation is spiralling out of control, the police arrive, and Mr. Khan makes himself scarce. Meanwhile, the director's father has also arrived, and he's brought cash.
I am here to help them, to help these boys, my sons. The original bill is 5,000 something, 5,072. We are willing to settle because the trail is not here.
Okay, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
The father is willing to pay his son's original bill, but not the extra fees which were added when the transporter was called. But as far as Ken's concerned, this is a situation entirely of their own making.
I did explain to this person loads of times that if I had to call the transporter, a lot of fees go on there. I was patient over 2 hours, but in the end, enough's enough. I've called the transporter, and now a load of fees have gone on there. I can't reverse that. Did I not warn you earlier that this would happen? No. The police would turn up, the transporter would turn up, it would be like a scene out of Beadle's About, and here we are.
You're able to settle
the full amount?
The full amount for the gentleman?
No.
The father isn't budging.
I can pay you the bill he has got.
Okay. He is not willing to accept that. That is what he's saying.
This is a con, no? It's a big con. Really is not here, nothing is here.
But it will be here soon, and you've got sufficient goods in the yard to cover the debt.
But the son still thinks these cars can't be taken. And now with the police in attendance, he's hoping he can convince them of his side of the story.
You've got a higher court rate for BD trade sales.
Yes.
So these cars, they belong to me. They belong to Blue Diamond Garages. That's what I was trying to explain for you, and you weren't listening.
I hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
And so does this gentleman.
Yeah.
But what happens is he has been issued with a court writ for these premises.
For BD trade sales.
Okay.
Yeah.
I hear what you're saying, but these cars are here on this premises. You've got a big sign up there. If you've got 6,600 and whatever it is, then I would suggest you pay it. Then you can go to court. If it is proved in your favour, you will get reimbursed. If you choose not to pay back today, these guys can take the cars.
With the policewoman delivering the final verdict, father and son realise the game is up.
What are we up?
6708, just shy of £7,000, is what we said earlier on we needed to avoid.
The father reluctantly agrees to pay and hands over the full total in cash. At the same time, the transporter arrives and is sent on its way. They think it's all over. It is now.
Well, I did tell you earlier on it was like 1-1 at half-time, but 2-1 the sheriffs.
Much to the father's disapproval.
This is very unfair system here because the case is still in the court, but nevertheless, to finish this matter off, I didn't want any aggravation with no one. I paid the sheriffs, now we will claim it back.
The case never went back to court, and Khuram Khalid has got back the money he was rightfully owed.